right now, ladies and gentlemen, this is an honor for us because we're all New Edition fans. We're all uh, Ralph Tresvant fans, and I just want to say, born and bred from Boston. This brother Ralph Tresvant came up, and him and his brothers New Edition hit the music scene by storm. Changed music forever, changed R&B forever, and it's been such a honor and such a listening pleasure listening to this brother sing over the years and give us phenomenal music. He gave us hits like Sensitivity, Do What I Gotta Do, Stone Cold Gentleman. Right now he's hitting the music scene once again with a phenomenal song, new single called All Mine. I've heard it. I promise you guys, it's going to be a world premiere here on the Spot Radio. You guys are going to absolutely love it. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm D-Hour Radio Network welcome to the one and only Mr. Ralph Tresvant. Ralph, how you doing, my brother?
Hey, what's going on, man? What kind of intro is that?
You good?
You sure you talking about me?
Come on, Ralph, I'm talking about you, baby.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah, man, we talking about you.
No doubt, no doubt. We're talking about you. I mean,
love
here's
it,
the
man.
thing, bro.
I appreciate that.
First of all, you're a legend to us, man. And he is a legend to us, man. You guys, yourself and the brothers have changed music forever, man. I just want to thank you for all that you have contributed to music, man. You've done a phenomenal job. Phenomenal job.
Well, listen, I want to thank you for allowing us, the platform and allowing us to be out here and do what we do, man. It wasn't for you guys.
Absolutely.
That's what we do it all
Absolutely.
for. That's why we do it.
Man,
So thank you.
What I gotta say, man, before I can ask my question, I gotta say, when you dropped your first album, bro, I gotta say that, back when me and my boys back in the day, I was the first out of all my crew to go pick up your album. They was a little hesitant because they didn't know what to expect. I already knew what to expect. So when I picked up the album, I knew it was slamming, and I played it to my boys. That's what made them go get it. But yeah, man, you did your thing on that first album, man. I got to give it to you. You did your thing.
Man, I appreciate that. There was a lot of pressure behind that album because everybody in the group had came out with their solo projects already and was doing extremely well.
Yeah.
I mean, blowing up. And I'm in the lab like, oh my God, what am I going to do to follow that up? I hope I'm not going to be the only one come out here.
Oh yeah,
hit,
oh
right?
yeah.
So it was. I got in there with the masters, Jimmy and Terry and them, and they did their magic again.
Oh yeah.
They worked it on me, and that's how that Sensitivity album came about, man. I appreciate the love, man. I really do.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. I mean, I also want to thank you. I also want to thank you, man, for you and the brothers for dropping the New Edition story, man. That was a phenomenal television and film, man. So I want to thank you for that because you guys gave us a nice, phenomenal, in-depth look on New Edition, and man, that was a phenomenal job, man. I want to thank you guys for that for sure. That was phenomenal.
We kept it honest, right? As honest as we could. Trying to put 30-something plus years into 3 days was tough, but we kept it honest, and we got with the right team, the right people. It took a while. It was probably 15 years or so in the making from when we first started talking to the people like Jesse Collins and the guys to try to build it. But the whole idea was to make it where it felt like it was true to the group, it was true to what we was doing, it was honest, and it opened up things and let people see things that they didn't really know about the group and really be honest with what was going on and do it with some quality, style, and class so that the whole family could feel what we was doing, and get a chance to experience it. Open the group up to a whole nother generation, man, by starting with the little, we call them the littles, with the young New Edition, and then transforming into the older, the older.
No doubt.
Yeah, it allowed us to get that whole thing off. So I thank you for appreciating it, man, and once again, allowing us to do what we do and supporting it like that, man, all these years. I appreciate it.
No doubt.
It's really it's not taken for granted.
I have to say, I miss Sandy, and Ralph, let me tell you, you have been my favorite one from Candy Girl. I would zoom in on you. You was just you. I have just been in awe. And I am a huge fan. Yes, I'm a huge fan. And my sons, I have a 24-year-old and an 18-year-old, and they got introduced to you guys from the movie. Yeah, they heard you over the years because I played New Edition. I played rap. I played you guys. But then they really got the story because they could relate to the youngins and to who you guys grew up to be. Now, my question is for you. You seem like the more try to be a peacemaker. I think you approach to go solo to try to do things. You're like trying to accommodate everyone. How are you able to maintain that peaceful, mindset? Like your first album solo was Sensitivity, and you were so frustrated. How do you able to like I don't think I've ever heard a frustrated song from you. Like Bobby came out with his frustration. Like, how do you do that?
I guess, to be honest with you, I had so much attention coming up. Just like you said, as the lead singer of New Edition, there was so much attention on me. There was no, I always felt like I was already doing what I wanted to do. I was already out there. People was able to appreciate what I can do, as an artist. For the most part, when it came to New Edition, I was getting that off. A lot of the other guys were the ones who weren't able to really let their talent shine until they did the solo stuff. So, for me, I was content. I never felt like, I was like, okay, I can do more of what I do and start getting just more involved with making the music reflect me even more so. But overall, there was no real frustration in me. I was content most of my career. And the other guys kind of needed an outlet to show what they do and their role and what they hadn't been able to show by being a New Edition member to its fullest. They was able to get out there and do things here and there, but they wasn't able to really showcase their talents and their abilities. So I think there was probably more frustration in their music or in them to want to show the world what they can do as well. And also coming out of New Edition. Yeah, and also coming out of New Edition, able to express another side of, how we all came up. We all came from the projects, we came from the bricks. So the other aspects of being a product of the bricks, they were able to let go and let that out. Bobby with My Prerogative and Don't Be Cruel and all this kind of stuff was kind of stemming from where we came from, but we never really was able to express as a New Edition because of the style of New Edition, and we stay true to what that represents as a group. And BBD with the Poison and being able to kind of catch up with what's going on, the Do Me Babies, and kind of just branch or bridge what we can't show. Again, what we couldn't showcase as New Edition, but are part of us as members and as men and as, cats that was growing up in those environments and understanding all aspects of music, they were able to get that off and without tarnishing New Edition. So that's what was beautiful about the solo projects, that we were able to express and show different sides of who we are, what we represent, where we come from, without ever having to change up the style or kind of, tarnish what I would think the flavor of what New Edition represents when we do that as a team. 100%. So I think that's why that all came out that way.
This is DP, Ralph. And it's funny you say that because one of your last songs you guys had all together was Boys to Men. And like once you guys all split off, literally, I always felt that we got a chance to see the men that each individual of New Edition became. Like when you guys all went and did all your own solo projects and just it was still a very New Edition type sound, but it was individually. And you could hear certain elements of, okay, well, I hear that from this song. And so that was him singing? Like, because over the years, there were certain times where I couldn't tell whether it was Ricky singing or if it was Bobby singing, but when everybody branched off years later, you're like, okay, so that's Ricky.
Right,
so,
right.
But I will say this. Like,
exactly.
The one thing that got me a few years back was the biopic, man. And I sat there, and there were a few different stories being told, but I watched just your character and everything that your character experienced from having to just sit there in the studio, and the guys want to go out and party, and people talking about, hey, this guy's being replaced and this, that, and the other. And I remember the moment that got me was when you were sitting there and you were with Johnny Gill in the bio, and so you experienced this in real life. How did it make you feel, man, when you sat there in real life with Johnny and he was like, no, man, they brought me in to replace you, and you knew everything you had done just to try to keep the team together?
It was It was heartbreaking, man. You know, it's like I couldn't believe that they could even consider that. You know, I never considered being on my own without the guys. I was, even if I was going to express myself as an individual someday, it was never with the intention of not being with the guys I came up with.
Of course.
The same way as when I first went into it. You know, it was I had the option from day one to do it by myself. That's how the company came at us. They backtracked behind the group and came to me on some, man, we don't want to do it with all the guys. We feel like you got the voice that we're really trying to get out here, and we don't want to deal with all the different families and parents. And, it was that kind of thing that they were sitting down telling my mother and father, and I'm sitting there listening to the whole thing. And I could have just kept it moving then. So my heart wasn't there, and I couldn't believe that their hearts was there, no matter what was going on at the time.
Sure.
But, I always kind of felt that, throughout the years, that there was like BBD formed a camaraderie way before BBD even was BBD. They had already kind of tightened up as the guys in the group who wanted an identity, who wasn't getting parts when they get to the studio, because the Candy Girl album was, 90% my voice singing all the songs. When we get to studios, the songwriters were writing songs with that voice in mind. And so when we get there, all the parts was for me. And then you can see the frustration, you can see the letdown in their faces when they get there, and they say, well, what am I going to sing? Where's my part? And blah, blah, blah. And they was like, well, this one's going to be for Ralph, or this one's, we got this one with him in mind, but we're going to write you one, and then there would be no song that really came. They would just have parts eventually that they would put together with, like Ricky with the Don't You Know It's the Real. They kind of was sprinkling them in like that, and then Michael was talking, or Ronnie was rapping, or so it was kind of like we always had it in our minds coming up that it was going to be, as far as the parts and on the roles on that level, everybody, it was going to be more Temptation-ish than having like a lead singer like the Jacksons did. It was more Michael. We always felt like that's how it was going to be. So when we started getting to that point where the record companies and people were just submitting songs with my voice, and I could see the frustration. And so sometimes they come in and they realize they didn't have no parts. They just leave and come back later on that night with like they did in the movies with chicks and check in. Hey, what you doing, man? How's that record coming along, superstar? You know what I mean? And then
I hear you, bro, for real.
Yeah. So that was kind of where a lot of that came from. And again, there you go with that. That's where some of that frustration came about. You know what I'm saying? When they got the chance to do some stuff, they represented a different level of, just letting it go, letting what was on their mind, what they always wanted to do, and then let it go on their own projects. Mm-hmm.
That's what's up. Now, let me ask you this last question just before I get off. Did you realize you were the first person ever to rap and sing in the same song?
We didn't know it at the time. It was just what was going around in Bricks. The rap thing was already big. We was big on it at all the block parties, cutting and scratching and rapping and learning that whole thing with the Rapper's Delight and the stuff that was out at the time that was hot. So when we went in the studio, it was kind of natural for us to be these little round-the-way guys that was incorporating that. We was doing that kind of stuff around Maurice Starr, and he was like, hey, man, we got to put some of that stuff like on the record. So we put it on it, but we didn't really realize that hadn't been done yet up until that point. Incorporating the R&B stuff with the rap stuff, and then it was kind of in retro when we look back and start talking about it, and people was bringing it up to us. It's like, man, we didn't really realize, but that whole she walks so fancy, looks so sweet, she makes my
no doubt.
Just get big. That's it. And then trading off with your boy coming there. Yeah, exactly. It was fire to know that, Retro was doing that, man. New Edition was breaking a lot of grounds and doing a lot of things that hadn't been done up until that point. Yeah, including the solo project things, being able to maintain the mother and go out and have these multi-platinum solo projects and careers, and then still have the ability to come back to New Edition and make it work. It was like, it can be done. We was doing a lot of, man, listen, this is other things that you can do in this industry. And we was a lot of firsts and stuff like that.
I agree.
Okay. So this is Miss TV, and so, I want to check in with you because, times are tricky, and there's a tendency for the world to relate to entertainers like they're not human. And I'm sure that there's things that you're dealing with, and I just wanted to know and check in and make sure, like how things are going for you. How are you faring in these times where things are kind of out of whack and quarantining and not being able to do things the way that we used to.
It's tough. You know, I gotta be honest with you, not being able, because my kids are in separate parts of the country, and it's like I can't hold them, I can't grab them, I can't take flights to see them like I want to. You know, my grandkids, they're kind of growing up on the East Coast, and I'm out on the West, so all of that stuff is kind of hard. I guess the pride is in being able to know that they're okay, they're all right, and that I have my platform now where I can go out here and speak for the people who don't have that voice, don't have no platforms at that level to be able to talk about and address some of the things that's going on. This next album is going to be important in that way for me, where it'll be full of love, it'll be full of energy that helps you escape that, but also it'll be full of, it'll have some elements of makes me want to holler, mercy, mercy me, the things that Marvin was doing when he was trying to, you know, represent the people and let them understand that he knows where they're coming from, and I got your voice. I know I'm going to be a piece of that extension of what you can't say and let the world hear what we're feeling, what we're going through. So definitely going to be a part of that as well, man. So this album is special in that way to me, where this is that album that I've always wanted to do. And I've been on I was working the last 2 years on songs that have that topic before it really escalated where it is now. I already can feel the climax and the desire as a fan of Marvin and a fan of Michael and merging that sound together with what I've been doing in the streets and what's popping. So my thing was always get to that album where I can start letting people see the grown Ralph, the seriousness of, you know, some serious sides and the things that go through my mind.
I like that.
Yeah, things that be on my mind that I wasn't ever, you know, never really addressed before. So those will be addressed on this next project for sure. And just getting deeper with the music, the sound, the vibe of it also. It's real grown folk music, you know.
Wow. And you're making excellent points. This is Elio. How you doing, Brother Ralph?
How's it going, man?
This new I'm good. This new single that you have out, All Mine, being as though that, you know, we're transgressing through times and you're creating this new you and this more mature you. Just tell us a little bit about that single, what it's about, your creative process, and where you were trying to go with it.
That song was just an introduction to try to stay where I was, get the voice saturated in a more familiar way. Before, you can't just jump out there and start making me want to holler on them, you know, and it's like, who is this cat that, you know? So to me, it was about slowly merging where I'm going with where I've already been. And the song actually came about as a song that was submitted for Johnny in his album. And he said, man, this sounds like my brother. So he called me up and told me he had a song he wanted me to hear. He thought that I'd be perfect for it. He said it sounds like me, you know, I'll have no addition me, and the sensitivity stuff that people are familiar with. So I heard the song. I said, okay, let me see if it sounds like, let me go cut it and see if it sounds like that after my voice is actually on it. And I went to his house and cut the song, and a few days later he sent it back to me with my vocals on it and his vocals on it. And to me, it just had that classic Johnny and Ralph combination that Jimmy Jam and them introduced, even the group to, it introduced it to us and it introduced it to the world, that these two sounds work together, because that's when Johnny first came in the group. And trying to figure out how you merge that, how you swirl him in without changing the lead singer style, but also upgrading the sound and the grownness, the growing up of the group with that sound. My voice is kind of so they did it in a way where you kind of imagine Luther or Teddy Pendergrass type of singer, and mixing that with a Marvin / Michael Jackson, Marvin Gaye / Michael Jackson type of voice. And you know, you got that growl, you got that groan, you got those abilities and the runs and all that stuff that Johnny's capable of doing flawlessly. And then you had this smooth, silky, like almost buttery thing that I grew up loving and doing as an artist, and they found a way to swirl that. And so when we got together on that record, we've been trying to perfect that ever since then. We've found the magic in that, and the textures matching the way they do. And this song kind of did the same thing. It brought that texture, those two textures together, where you get the best of both worlds in my mind. You get that strong ability, singing ability, with that smooth crooner thing that I do, and the song just worked. It felt like a great opener. And coming off the last song we just did, Perfect, where he did the lead, and I came in on his hooks and supported him as a feature, it was just felt like, okay, that just worked. Let's just flip that right now on my introduction back to the game, where now I'm has that extra thing to it to have Johnny on there with me as I open up the doors back to my solo career. And that's how the song came about, and that's how we pretty much chose it as the first single and the way to go to open everything up. All mine, yeah.
Okay, folks, we're down to the last 30 seconds.
Okay. Well, Ralph, I want to thank you for that, man. The new single, was phenomenal. I've heard it. My co-hosts haven't got a chance to hear it yet, but I just want to thank you and Johnny, man, because you guys gave it that old school flavor with a new school twist, and you guys were able to adapt to the music that they played today. And I just want to thank you because the song was phenomenal. I can't wait till everybody hear it. But I want to just thank you before we play your song for joining us today, man. And we had a phenomenal time talking with you, man. I think that you're an incredible artist, and you're true blue new edition through and through, and that's what we love about you the most, man. And you've contributed some of the most phenomenal music, man. So I just want to thank you for that as well, and thank you for joining us today. But if you can, go ahead and introduce your new single for everybody right now. And this is a world premiere on the Spot Radio right here with Ralph Tresvant. But go ahead, brother.
That's what it is, man. I appreciate that, man. Anytime you want me on here, you just reach out. I'll be back here. I'm right here. This is the new
sure, I appreciate it.
Off of my new project. Yeah, off my new project. It's Ralph Tresvant featuring Johnny Gill. Grown folk music, y'all. It's called All
Here
Mine.
we go.
Enjoy yourselves. I hope you like it.
World premiere on the Spot Radio. Ralph Tresvant featuring Johnny Gill. All Mine. Let's go.
Crazy how you're running through my mind, yeah. 24/7 all the time. My number one never on the side, yeah. Just you and I, you and I. And I don't need to tell you, I'ma show you. You gon' feel it when I hold you. Get ready, I'ma go there. I'ma go there. You're all I ever asked for. I can't hold it in. Put my money on you. All we do is win. Sorry if I'm selfish. Want you for myself. Girl, you got that good. You good for my health. Oh mine. Oh mine, oh mine. Oh mine, oh mine. Oh mine, mine, mine. Oh mine, oh mine. Oh mine. Oh mine, oh mine. Oh mine. Oh mine, oh mine. Oh mine, oh mine. Now that we're alone, let's turn off the phone. Oh yeah. Don't need no distractions while we get it on. Yeah. Wanna focus on you. It's that type of mood. I'm ready for dinner, but I ain't talking about food. Ooh, oh. You're all I ever asked for. I can't hold it in. Put my money on you. All we do is win. Sorry if I'm selfish. Want you for myself. Girl, you got that good. You good for my health. Oh mine. Oh mine, oh mine. Oh mine, oh mine. Oh mine, oh mine. Ain't nobody else. Oh mine. Oh mine. Oh mine, oh mine. Oh mine, oh mine. Oh mine, oh mine. Oh mine, oh mine. Like a diamond you shine. Yeah, I said it before. Give you all that and more.
D-Hour Radio Network, On the Spot Radio. That was the world premiere of Ralph Tresvant's new single featuring Johnny Gill, All Mine, comes out today. So definitely make sure you guys go get that phenomenal song. I told you guys it was phenomenal. I just want to take this time to thank Ralph for being on with us. This is going to be another D-Hour interview, another phenomenal interview. Incredible time talking with Ralph, man. He's true blue, a new addition, R&B music through and through, man. Intelligent brother, man. Great personality. Again, we had a phenomenal time talking with him. I'm pretty sure my family will agree with that as well. But I want to thank you, Ralph, for joining us and coming on with us, brother. And like we always tell our guests, you come on as a guest and you leave as a family member, man. So you're definitely family of the D-Hour Radio Network now. Family, what did you guys think?
Oh my God, y'all! This is Miss Sandy. I have been. He is so mad chill. I just love that. Like his song, it does reflect his energy. It's like even he has a good sense of love. I took away because he said for the most part, the new edition, he got his shine. He was content. It was his brothers that had that aggression, and he understands that aggression. He respects it. I totally get where they were coming from, and I want them to get that shine as well. It's been given me since Candy Girl. So, I want my brothers to make it. I want them to shine. I want them to get their aggression out. I'm cool. I'm peaceful. And so when he gives that sensitivity and gives that, like that's in his energy, like he's just, which I love, and that's what we need in this chaotic world we got right now. We need that.
Well, when you listen to him, he's a person who was sure of himself, who knew who he was. And the one thing that got me is as we're talking to him, and he's talking about how the record label originally came at him, and he's sitting there listening to what they're telling his mom and his dad. It sounds like his mom and his dad did a very great job from day one, keeping him grounded. So that right there is phenomenal. So when we get a chance to talk to him, and you're right, he's just as chill as his music because he's always known who he is, and a lot
very humble.
A lot of artists lose who they are over the course of the process. So like man, just talking to him and just listening to him, I'm like, man, like for so long I always felt I knew a part of Ralph. But having a conversation with him, it's like, no, this is the real deal. Like, this is who this dude really is. And,
no doubt.
Like you always wish there was, New Edition has been great, but there's so much more that I know for a fact Ralph Tresvant has to give to the world through his music. And it's just all of his personality and the way he comes through. So, man, I got nothing but love and respect for him.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you this one thing. This your boy Leo, and that song took a left hook, right hook, uppercut, and knocked me off my feet. That was a nice song. I said, what?
Yeah, man.
I said, what?
I told y'all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that thing was nice, and it matches his swag, it matches his energy, and it's new, it's fresh, and I was just getting all type of chills just listening to it. And I was like, okay, we're on to something epic here. And it reminded me of that interview we had, Slate, with Sherry Shepherd. And how, as we got to the point of a break, she was like, no, y'all cool. And I just felt him get ready to say that. Like, no, I kind of want to talk a little bit. I want to chill. I want to sit back. But you know what, man? That was a phenomenal interview, man.
I mean, and I get it, bro, and I get it too because his singles dropping today. He's got other cats he's got to interview with, other cats he's got to talk to. But I think if it was just another regular day, maybe if it was afterwards, like he said, he'll come back on with us, and I'm pretty sure he'll talk to us even longer on the show. But I get it, it's a business, and he's got to promote himself, and he's got to talk to other people. But you're right, Elio. I did get that flavor because DP and Miss Sandy, they know what we're talking about, where we've had individuals on the show with us who was only supposed to be on for a short amount of time, but they end up being on with us so much longer because they love talking to us. And that's what I love about us is that we able to get people, make people comfortable enough to want to just rap with us and talk with us all, for a long time, like we're old friends and we're just sitting around talking. So that's what I love about that we do when we're talking with people, that we can make them feel comfortable enough to want to talk to us and want to chill with us for a long time, and just talk about what they're doing, talk about what's going on in the world. So you're right, though. I did feel that from him. I was kind of vibing that from him as well. So, and that's just one of the many things that we love about him.
You know what? I didn't expect it to have such a modern feel to it. You know, the new song, I did.
Mm-hmm.
I was like shocked, like, wow, because you find a lot of artists are unable to like shift and move with time, right? And unless he told you his age or what group he belonged to, you wouldn't know that he didn't belong in this new era of music in that genre. So I thought that was like really cool.
I agree.
But that's always been New Edition's thing. That's always been New Edition's thing, though. Like, New Edition to drop a track, and it's always been right in line with whatever the time is. So, like, if you tell me, him coming from the group, he's a part of that equation. Like, I've never heard a track dropped by anyone from New Edition that wasn't right along in the genre. And it met the music.
But you know what? I'm questioning because he knows what to do. He's been in the game forever, and he knows how to, give us doses because he knows that, we want to hear what we used to hear from him. So he can't give us, really maybe who he really is. He has to baby step us. So and then it seems like he's fine with baby stepping us, and I like that. But think of the artists that were pigeonholed; they feel confined, like Tank. Tank dropped that. He was always on that love ballad thing. Then he came out with this stripping sexual, in your face, savage album. Then he went into hiatus a little bit. And so for Ralph to come out now, he's he's giving us teaspoons and reminding us who he is. But I wonder, or who he was, I wonder, is this going to progress and be more? Is there something else he's not showing us? I wish I would have answered that. It seems like he has something else in him. That's what it seems like to me.
I think that's what. No, I think you're right. I think he was getting at that. He has a lot more to give with his music, and I agree. And that's good that you guys recognize that. But I agree with you. I think that and TB, trust me, when I heard the song, I felt the same way. I was like, damn, it's got that old school flavor, but it's got that new school twist. So if you didn't know who he was or what era he was in, you would think it was just one of the many songs that they play on the radio. But see, that's my frustration. I want to ask you guys about that real quick. Is that we get artists like that on the show, legendary artists like that on the show, and they're creating new music. And so we love the music. We know the music is slamming. And so it's like, we know for a fact, all of us know for a fact that mainstream radio, they'll play their old school stuff all day long, but their new school stuff they're not going to play. Their new music they won't play. They'll play their old stuff all day long. And for me personally, I think that's disrespectful. Because if you're going to play their old stuff, their new stuff is just as good if you listen to it and give it a chance. Let the